Hi everybody, it's RC3 and welcome to today's video. On my live streams I usually get a lot of questions like what's your favorite Piggy chapter and more commonly, what's your favorite skin? Today I'm going to be doing a tier list of my favorite Piggy skins from book 1. If you guys enjoyed this video and does well, then I'll bring you guys book 2 and even the extras. Before we start, I have a Roblox group which I'll link down in the pinned comment, and I also have a star code. So whenever you're buying Robux, if you can use star code RC3, it would really support the channel. Now first things first, I'm only gonna have 5 tiers just to make it to where it's nothing too complex. And I know what you're thinking, Ernie, why are there 6 tiers? We'll get to that. So at the start of the tiers, we have amazing, which are absolutely amazing skins that I would absolutely use without no hesitation. Great skins, which I think are still great. Nothing much to say about that. Good skins that I think are still pretty usable. They still have, I guess, some use. Skins which are just and of course you have not good skins. This tier list is mainly for modes where you can obviously play as Piggy and use the skin, even in build mode. And of course these are just based on my opinion. And if you want to tell me your opinion, like how the mother skin should belong in S rank, then just leave a comment. Without further ado, let's start us off with the biggest banger, and that is Mother. Mother almost seems like a bootleg version of the regular Penny skin. There's not really much to it, it's just a very obvious color swap of the dress and a small flower, and I think it's just a millimeter worse than Little Brother just because it doesn't have the shiny glowing eye on the top. I have yet to see a single person actually use this skin. I'm not even kidding. Speaking of Little Brother, next one we got is Little Brother. Again, just a very easy palette color dress swap, and while it still has the glowing eye, it literally doesn't have anything else added to it. And we're cutting this tier short because the final skin of this tier is Father. Now out of these 3, I actually like Father the best only because of the hat and 2 glowing eyes. But other than that, wearing these 3 skins just shows you that you know how to use the shop, since most players will just be wearing the default Penny skin anyways. Next up, we're going to the tier, which is, you know, not as bad as these. They have like 1 additional quality, but not much more beyond that. And the first one we got going up is Teacher. I do like how tall the horns are, which gives kind of an illusion that the Piggy skin is taller and therefore more frightening. And I do think that the ruler is a pretty funny way of killing somebody in Piggy. But other than that, the jump scare is alright, but nothing really much beyond that. Next up is Sheepy, and I would have put this one in not good tier if it wasn't for the remodel. Before the remodel, it pretty much just looked like a white Piggy, but now that Sheepy actually looks like a sheep, isn't just, instead of just, you know, being painted white, I think this is much better. But really not too much beyond this. Has the coat of wool on the top of the head, has some pretty cool red glowing eyes, which I haven't really seen too much out of other Piggy skins, at least in the specific way that they're glowing. And I think it's pretty cool that she uses a hammer to kill people, so I mean, nothing more than that. I use a hammer to kill people too, but that'll be our little secret. Next up we have Ellie, and probably other than design being just okay, it does have an advantage. When you're wandering around as Ellie in the city map, it's going to be much harder for people to be able to recognize you. I know that sometimes whenever the game modes are being picked, I sometimes forget what game mode we're playing. So if, you know, I don't end up seeing player, I could just act like the bot. But again, that's a pretty rare scenario on top of the fact that you pretty much can only rely on this trick on 1 singular map, but outside of that, it's pretty forgettable. Next up is Grandmother, and I would have put it inside of not good tier if it wasn't for the same fact as Ellie. Now, whenever you go on the city map, normally your character replaces the Ellie character, so it wouldn't be possible to have like 2 Ellies roaming around. It would just be an Ellie and a Piggy. However, with Grandmother, if you're wearing the Grandmother skin, you can replace Ellie, and it can be 2 different grandmothers walking around. And if you take your mimicking skills to their height, you can actually pretend and to move in like walking patterns and pretend that you're actually the grandmother bot, and you can trick people, other than your speed being much faster than Grandmother, of course. But I do like the hat. The hat is still pretty cool. It has a little bit more use than the skins in the not good tier, but other than that, nothing else beyond it. Next up is Daisy, and I wished for more. This is one of those skins that you completely forget about until book 2 brings it into the lore, and it seems like this is where Daisy went all along after leaving Willow, to the tier list. Looking at it now, I'd probably put this back into not good. I guess for the fact that if you wear this, I mean, people are just going to be, I guess, surprised. They're going to turn their head twice because no one wears this. You know what? I actually might put this into not good because another factor is that you have this bright red dress and people are going to be able to see much easier into dark areas. So I'm just going to drop it down one tier. Sorry, Daisy. Next up is Barry, and I was considering putting it into the good tier list, but I took a look at the jump scare and there's not really too much there. You know, I would have really expected that Budgie would be the one to hold the pirate sword, but for some reason Barry does. And I can't just really throw this skin on the good tier list just because it has something other than a flat color palette. Ooh, it has a coat. Next up is Bunny. And I am very sorry to all the Bunny fans here because this one's not too great. Unless you want to roleplay as Bunny coming back from the dead, there's not really too many uses to this skin. Plus, you are a bright white skin, which makes it a little bit easier for you to be seen in certain places whenever you're trying to sneak up on players. However, if you do want to go to maps like school, hospital, or metro and pretend to be the bunny bot, oh, you can't do it in metro because Bunny's sitting down. All right, that brings it down to 2 maps. So if you wanted to pretend to be the bunny bot in school or hospital, then you can do that with this skin as long as people can't see your face. And luckily, there's not too many other differences about Bunny other than the eyes, so you can pretty much get away with that. Other than that, though, nothing really outside of the skin. Next up is Memory, and I would have, when Piggy had first came out, put this on one of the higher tiers because there weren't too many other skins that were greater than this. And I do think that it's still a decent skin where you're just like this shadow version of Penny. However, there's not really anything too much outside of that. You know what? I might bump this up to good because not only is it a classic skin, but the jump scare sound is pretty neat. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to bump that up to good. I'm just going to bump that up to good. And then finally for this tier, we have Pandy. And as you guys have probably already noticed, I gave Pandy its own tier because Pandy is probably, I didn't even know this was real. I didn't even know this was a skin. I took a look at the player list and I've already bought into every single Piggy skin already. So when I went to go check back onto my skins list, I was like, what is that? When did that just get added? Because this is probably the most forgettable skin ever. I didn't even want to put it in or not good. It just blew me away. So I gave Pandy their own tier. Next up is the good tier, which have skins that have more than like one value that they have to offer. And I think we should start off with Classic Penny. So you're probably wondering why I'm putting the default Piggy skin up here, and I have a few good reasons. One, it is the most iconic Piggy skin ever. I mean, any default skin in its place would be, but you can actually use this skin to pretend to be a noob because most people who use this skin are noobs, and you can use this to your advantage in game to pretty much play dumb and then catch people off guard. Next up is Zompiggy, and I just really like Zompiggy's design. In a game about basically a zombie apocalypse, this is the only Piggy skin that's actually a zombie. The jump scare is pretty good. The weapon is actually pretty cool. I was surprised that Piggy wasn't missing an arm and just using its own arm as the weapon. Overall, pretty cool skin to use, and the actual skin seems pretty large as well. Next up is Badgie, and I know I'm gonna have some people asking me, hey Ernie, where's the alternate skin at? Just pretend that the mystery, the alternate Badgie skin, I'm just gonna place it in you know what, I'd either place it in or good because they're very similar. This one's slightly better though. I just like the suit and the arm, but Badgie is a pretty good skin. It has a lot going on with it. It has a radiation glow stick that you can use to hit people, and the jump scare is pretty good too, where it just makes you like die to a sizzling sound. For those who watch my live streams, you guys know that I die to Piggy acid very frequently, and the fact that I can now use this as a weapon against other people is pretty cool. You know what, I'm just gonna put this in great because this one's great. Next up is Doggy, and Doggy's not too bad. You can use this in the forest map to make people confused on whether or not you're the doggy bot or you're the real player. You get to play as a classic character from some of the beginning Piggy chapters, and I think the weapon is still pretty cool as well. The only thing I'm not too big of a fan of are the eyes, and there's not much else going on with this skin, although I was just talking about blending in as Doggy. I wish it was still a little bit more creative. If you've seen some of the Piggy skins in Piggy the Lost Book, where it shows different versions of infected Zizzy and Pony, I think it would be really cool to see something like that applied to some of the main character Piggy skins. Next up is Mimi, another main character. However, this one you cannot blend in with the regular Mimi. Obviously because of the large pickaxe that you can use, which is pretty cool as a kill weapon, and you get to use one of Mimi's monocles from whenever she's doing her scientist work. Other than that, the jump scare's not bad. The ability to play as a loved Piggy character is pretty cool, especially in book 2, and I think it's just a pretty solid Piggy skin. Next up is Mousy, and oh boy, I've had a lot of memories with this. Bad memories. When Maul first released, I would absolutely jump out of my own pants because I'd randomly hear this horrific loud jump scare sound out of nowhere. And that was because someone was dying to Mousy in the vents. For those who don't know, this is actually a character in Maul, but if you haven't been in the vents before, she's crawling around in there. In here, she actually has her legs. And while I don't think this Piggy skin has so much going for it in terms of its design, you know, you got a chain whip, which is pretty cool. I didn't expect that to be as a Piggy weapon. I guess it doesn't really help that her dress is really red too. It makes you much more noticeable, but that jump scare sound is probably so terrifying that, you know what, I don't know, should I keep it a good or eh? I don't know. That I think the strongest factor of this Piggy skin is the jump scare. So I think I'm gonna keep it a eh. I'm not gonna drop it down to not good. Sorry, Mousy. Next up, we got Angel and Devil. I'm gonna put them both up here because they are pretty much almost the same. These Piggy skins are pretty crazy, and it's mainly because of the giant classic Roblox wings that they have on their backs. Their jump scares aren't too bad. Whenever I used to see players using at least the Angel skin, I always knew, okay, this person probably knows what they're doing, or they're an absolute tryhard. That was a long time ago though, so if you wear that skin, it probably doesn't apply to you anymore. I mean, it doesn't apply. But I think their designs are pretty solid. I think I'd bump it up higher if they just weren't piggies, and if they instead did something different, like gave them some kind of different model or different animal. But yeah, whenever you're looking at the Roblox skins in the shop, these ones definitely stand out first. And finally, for the good section, we have Kitty. It's another one of those skins that I forgot about. It's mainly because Kitty is in TSP now in book 2, but I still think Kitty's pretty good. You got a shovel, which I didn't expect any of the Piggy characters to use, and it's a funny way of killing people too. And I think being able to play as one of the TSP members is still pretty cool, especially in this state. The orange eyes are a pretty good touch, and maybe because I'm a little bit biased because I have a cat myself. In fact, I don't know, I think I really might be biased. I think I just might drop it here. I actually, you know, I'm gonna keep it there. Yeah, that pretty much fits across the row. All right, the next tier we have up here is the great tier, and these are skins I use every now and then because their designs are pretty great. They have multiple factors about them that I really like. And the first one we have going up is Foxy. When I first started playing Piggy, when there were only 3 chapters out, of course, in book 1, the most expensive skin at that time was Foxy, and at that time, it was 99.9% of players using the default Piggy skin. And maybe every now and then someone would use the little brother skin. So it felt really good to unlock this, and the fact that it had the creepy circus music is always really cool. Along with the knight, which you can also find in trader mode. However, they redesigned Foxy, and I love it even more now. I not only think that the casual look is pretty cool, but I also really love the black hoodie. And all those factors in mind just say, go Foxy, you're still #1. It doesn't matter how long Piggy's been out for. Next up is Dino Piggy, and Dino Piggy is one that I used in my Piggy's Bizarre Adventure meme. The fact that you just have Piggy but as a dinosaur, just the idea alone sounds amazing, and in execution it's pretty good. You have a bunch of spikes on your back, you have a tail, you have, and here's the thing, the way that you kill people with your claws is really cool. And the jump scare is not so bad either. I think the only downside to this skin is that with you being so bright green, it would make it a little bit easier for people to see you coming, but I guess that wouldn't really matter on too many maps. Next up, we got a double. We got Pony and Zizzy. So unlike Grandmother or Bunny, first of all, you can use these skins in multiple different maps, including build mode, and especially build mode, because I was actually gonna say book 2, but you can also use it a lot in build mode because the NPCs where you have to feed them carrots or grass are almost always in build mode maps. And the idea is that you can just turn around, since the only difference in their skins are just their eyeballs. You can just turn around or turn sideways, and it'll be really hard for people to be able to tell. I actually shared on TikTok a Piggy tip where you can just go on a map such as Outpost and push the pony bot somewhere else, and you can just stand as the pony and just like turn around, and if anybody comes to feed you a carrot, they're gonna die. Plus, the ability to play as one of the main staple characters, not just through book 1 but through book 2, is really amazing. You can literally be the main characters, but evil. Technically, Pony was already evil at one point. Next up is Giraffe, and Giraffe's a pretty cool skin. The fact that you're this really long-necked Piggy skin, such as I, and the fact that you're wearing all purple, which is, I guess I'm a little biased here, but one of my favorite colors, and the jump scare sound. The jump scare sound is not what I would expect from it, but it's still pretty cool. I don't think I've really taken an interest in terms of my favorite animals as giraffes until I saw this Piggy skin. Next up is Soldier, and normally this I would put this at not good because it's my mortal enemy. During my live streams, whenever we're playing build mode maps, I swear to you, soldier piggies are sentient. They will somehow walk in the direction you're about to walk. No matter how much you stand back and wait for them, or if they're in one single area, they'll just walk right in front of you and kill you instantly, especially when they hide behind corners as well. So if there's a build mode map with soldiers, you can definitely use this. Oh, and of course, I don't even need to mention it, but if you're on Outpost, you can pretend to be one of the soldiers piggies, and you can just walk around back and forth, simulating how a bot walks, and you can catch people off guard. It's a pretty good way to hide. Only thing though is that the Zizzy bot won't come to kill you, so that might blow your cover. Next up is Parasy, and at first I didn't really think too much about Parasy. Parasy just seemed like a very passable piggy skin. However, the fact that it has 3 miniature eyes in its eyes, and it has the tentacles on its back, and the jump scare is pretty cool, is what made me consider to put it in this tier. And unlike some of the other red skins, they don't really stand out too much. It's more of a darker red, almost brown, so you don't really need to worry too much about really standing out. And finally for this tier, we have Tigry. Now, Tigry I'd normally put probably at good, but the fact that you're able to not only play as another staple Piggy Book 2 character, but the fact that that kill animation, I just think it's really satisfying whenever you walk up to a player and you just do somehow this 360 arm movement and just and just do this double stab on people. I think that's really cool. And that's gonna do it for the great tier. And finally, we have the amazing tier. Not really too much of a surprise here, but I do want to explain my choices. And the first one we're gonna have to put up here is Mr. P. Mr. P is an absolutely amazing skin. It should be exactly what you expect from getting the true ending, of course, because Mr. P is the main antagonist of book 1. And if circumstances were different, I would have put him in great tier if it weren't for the fact that he was a cyborg with an arm cannon gun. Actually, I also would have probably put him in great tier too if it weren't for his remodel as well. His really nice attire tuxedo remodel is just absolutely amazing. In fact, I can't really find any flaws for this Piggy skin at all if it weren't for the fact that it keeps breaking. When the skin first released, it would pretty much, whenever you got picked as Piggy wearing this skin, it would teleport you into a void and you'd automatically die and get sent back to the menu. I don't know if this part has been patched yet or not, but for some reason Mr. P cannot kill decoys, and I even had a few issues where I spawn into the Piggy spawn and I just get stuck in the floor, although it gets fixed once I get spawned into the game. But if all those were fixed and there would be never any bugs ever again, I don't know, maybe Mr. P is cursed. Well, he did have voices in his head. Next up is Robbie, and I know it's a Piggy model, but hear me out. Again, cyborg, and instead of having an arm cannon gun, you have a chainsaw arm. And I think his death animation is just really satisfying. We're able to just go in there and pretty much saw someone in half, because after all, whenever you die in Piggy, don't you just fall apart anyways? So it really simulates that effect of chainsawing someone in half. And plus, robot! Next up is Ghosty, and while Ghosty doesn't have too much to its core design itself, it gives you a lot of big advantages in pretty much any Piggy game. The fact that not only can you see right through it partially, but the fact that it has no legs makes it really strong, because you can pretty much just hide behind things like couches or anything that's much taller, but you can see underneath. Normally, you know, someone would just see Piggy's feet and be like, oh yeah, there's a Piggy under there, or there's a Piggy right behind there. But the fact that you can't see its feet at all just really brings more to it. And it's just less of a chance that if Piggy's above you wearing that skin, you have a less chance of seeing it. And I think the death animation is pretty cool as well. Next up, we got Billy, and I probably would have put Billy in great before this, but the remodel just makes it look so much cooler. Although I would have liked to keep the jackhammer as a weapon, they did not disappoint with this newer weapon. Billy is so strong that he just whacks his barbell at you. And once again, just like Foxy, I think this really cool casual attire is, well, really cool. And so far, other than Badgie, I haven't really seen any green eyes from any other Piggy skin, so it brings something different. So I don't think it's too big of a surprise that this strong skin is in a strong tier. Oh my gosh, I forgot to place Budgie. So I'm just gonna put Budgie in just because I saw its jump scare sound and wow, it was disappointing. It's just the sound of a bird chirping. It's not even anything ferocious. It just sounds like something a parakeet would make. Next up is Clowny, and Clowny was something I was probably most excited about when Carnival released. which is very ironic, being that everybody pretty much hates Carnival at this point. The fact that you play as this really cool clown that's not only evil, which fits the horror theme, and you have a really cool weapon, which is this rainbow colored hammer, and the fact that its jump scare is just not only really appropriate for the character, but it's just really cool where you just swing around and then slam a hammer right on top of someone. That just makes it really great. I don't even need to say anything else more about it. Next up is Skelly, and Skelly was pretty cool when it came out. I know it's another Piggy model, but the jump scare is pretty cool, and the fact that you're literally playing as a skeleton. The fact that you're literally playing as a skeleton is amazing. For fun, you can go into the school map and just pretend to be the skeleton that's on display in one of the classrooms, but I know that's not some kind of groundbreaking strategy there. Yeah, but whenever you see this Piggy skin, I know it's something as simple as, you know, a skeleton, but it really makes people turn their heads. And finally on the list, we have Tortured. Not really too much to say because it's pretty self-explanatory. You are a pyro Piggy with, wait, I don't even know if it's a Piggy, with a flamethrower. You get to use a flamethrower to kill people. I don't even need to say anything else. You should already be sold. I think the jump scare is completely appropriate and looks pretty cool. And although the yellow stands out a bit, I think it's just a really cool skin to play around as. You almost feel like you're like an army soldier, and just instead of like being some like this weaponless creature that's walking around trying to kill people with your bare hands or some kind of weapon, you feel like you're suited up and you're going to take out every single one of the players. And that's gonna do it for my tier list. If you have any opinions on which tiers I should change for which skins, like how you think Mother should be an amazing or Pandy should be in the meme tier, let me know. I'll pin my Roblox group in the pinned comments so you guys can join. And that's about it. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and if you want more quality fun, I'll see you in the next one. Bye everybody!